Exodus 39. Of the blue, purple, and scarlet thread they made garments of ministry, for ministering in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And of the blue, and purple, and scarlet they made cloths of service, to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. He made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen. And he made the ephod of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And they beat the gold into thin sheets and cut it into threads, to work it in with the blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and the fine linen, into artistic designs. And they did beat the gold into thin plates, and cut it into wires, to work it in the blue, and in the purple, and in the scarlet, and in the fine linen, with cunning work. They made shoulder straps for it to couple it together. It was coupled together at its two edges. They made shoulder pieces for it, to couple it together, by the two edges was it coupled together. And the intricately woven band of his ephod that was on it was of the same workmanship, woven of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And the curious girdle of his ephod, that was upon it, was of the same, according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. And they set onyx stones, enclosed in settings of gold, they were engraved, as signets are engraved, with the names of the sons of Israel. And they wrought onyx stones enclosed in ouches of gold, graven, as signets are graven, with the names of the children of Israel. He put them on the shoulders of the ephod as memorial stones for the sons of Israel, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he put them on the shoulders of the ephod, that they should be stones for a memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he made the breastplate, artistically woven like the workmanship of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen. And he made the breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod, of gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. They made the breastplate square by doubling it, a span was its length and a span its width when doubled. It was foursquare. They made the breastplate double, a span was the length thereof, and a span the breadth thereof, being doubled. And they set in it 4 rows of stones, a row with a sardius, a topaz, and an emerald was the first row. And they set in it 4 rows of stones, the first row was a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle, this was the first row. The second row, a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the second row, an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. The third row, a jacinth, an agate, and an amethyst. And the third row, a ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in settings of gold in their mountings. And the fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper, they were enclosed in ouches of gold in their enclosings. There were 12 stones according to the names of the sons of Israel, according to their names, engraved like a signet, each one with its own name according to the 12 tribes. And the stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, every one with his name, according to the 12 tribes. And they made chains for the breastplate at the ends, like braided cords of pure gold. And they made upon the breastplate chains at the ends, of wreathen work of pure gold. They also made 2 settings of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they made 2 ouches of gold, and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 braided chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. And they put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate. The 2 ends of the 2 braided chains they fastened in the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder straps of the ephod in the front. And the 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains they fastened in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod, before it. And they made 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on the edge of it, which was on the inward side of the ephod. And they made 2 rings of gold, and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. They made 2 other gold rings and put them on the 2 shoulder straps, underneath the ephod toward its front, right at the seam above the intricately woven band of the ephod. And they made 2 other golden rings, and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they bound the breastplate by means of its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue cord, so that it would be above the intricately woven band of the ephod, and that the breastplate would not come loose from the ephod, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. He made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. And he made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. And there was an opening in the middle of the robe, like the opening in a coat of mail, with a woven binding all around the opening, so that it would not tear. And there was an hole in the midst of the robe, as the hole of an habergeon, with a band round about the hole, that it should not rend. They made on the hem of the robe pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet, and of fine woven linen. And they made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates of blue, and purple, and scarlet, and twined linen. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates on the hem of the robe all around between the pomegranates. And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates upon the hem of the robe, round about between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord had commanded Moses. A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. They made tunics, artistically woven of fine linen, for Aaron and his sons. And they made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron, and for his sons. A turban of fine linen, exquisite hats of fine linen, short trousers of fine woven linen. And a mitre of fine linen, and goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen. And a sash of fine woven linen with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, made by a weaver, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And a girdle of fine twined linen, and blue, and purple, and scarlet, of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. Then they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote on it an inscription like the engraving of a signet, Holiness to the Lord. And they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing, like to the engravings of a signet, Holiness to the Lord. And they tied to it a blue cord, to fasten it above on the turban, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And they tied unto it a lace of blue, to fasten it on high upon the mitre, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting was finished. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord had commanded Moses, so they did. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished, and the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. And they brought the tabernacle to Moses, the tent and all its furnishings, its clasps, its boards, its bars, its pillars, and its sockets. And they brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, and all his furniture, his taches, his boards, his bars, and his pillars, and his sockets. The covering of ram skins dyed red, the covering of badger skins, and the veil of the covering. And the covering of ram skins dyed red, and the covering of badger skins, and the veil of the covering. The ark of the testimony with its poles, and the mercy seat. The ark of the testimony, and the staves thereof, and the mercy seat. The table, all its utensils, and the showbread. The table, and all the vessels thereof, and the showbread. The pure gold lampstand with its lamps, the lamps set in order, all its utensils, and the oil for light. The pure candlestick, with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for light. The gold altar, the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, the screen for the tabernacle door. And the golden altar, and the anointing oil, and the sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door. The bronze altar, its grate of bronze, its poles, and all its utensils, the laver with its base. The brazen altar, and his grate of brass, his staves, and all his vessels, the laver and his foot. The hangings of the court, its pillars and its sockets, the screen for the court gate, its cords, and its pegs, all the utensils for the service of the tabernacle, for the tent of meeting. The hangings of the court, his pillars, and his sockets, and the hanging for the court gate, his cords, and his pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle, for the tent of the congregation. And the garments of ministry, to minister in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments, to minister as priests. The cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments, to minister in the priest's office. According to all that the Lord had commanded Moses, so the children of Israel did all the work. According to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so the children of Israel made all the work. Then Moses looked over all the work, and indeed they had done it, as the Lord had commanded, just so they had done it. And Moses blessed them. And Moses did look upon all the work, and, behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded, even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. Exodus 40. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, On the first day of the first month you shall set up the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. On the first day of the first month shalt thou set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. You shall put in it the ark of the testimony, and partition off the ark with the veil. And thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. You shall bring in the table and arrange the things that are to be set in order on it, and you shall bring in the lampstand and light its lamps. And thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be set in order upon it, and thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. You shall also set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put up the screen for the door of the tabernacle. And thou shalt set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hanging of the door to the tabernacle. Then you shall set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting. And thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. And you shall set the laver between the tabernacle of meeting and the altar, and put water in it. And thou shalt set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shalt put water therein. You shall set up the court all around, and hang up the screen at the court gate. And thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hanging at the court gate. And you shall take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle and all that is in it, and you shall hallow it and all its utensils, and it shall be holy. And thou shalt take the anointing oil, and anoint the tabernacle, and all that is therein, and shalt hallow it, and all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. You shall anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all its utensils, and consecrate the altar. The altar shall be most holy. And thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering, and all his vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. And you shall anoint the laver and its base, and consecrate it. And thou shalt anoint the laver and his foot, and sanctify it. Then you shall bring Aaron and his sons to the door of the tabernacle of meeting and wash them with water. And thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. You shall put the holy garments on Aaron, and anoint him and consecrate him, that he may minister to me as priest. And thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And you shall bring his sons and clothe them with tunics. And thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. You shall anoint them as you anointed their father, that they may minister to me as priests, for their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. And thou shalt anoint them, as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office, for their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus Moses did, according to all that the Lord had commanded him, so he did. Thus did Moses, according to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. And it came to pass in the first month of the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was raised up. And it came to pass in the first month in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. So Moses raised up the tabernacle, fastened its sockets, set up its boards, put in its bars, and raised up its pillars. And Moses reared up the tabernacle, and fastened his sockets, and set up the boards thereof, and put in the bars thereof, and reared up his pillars. And he spread out the tent over the tabernacle and put the covering of the tent on top of it, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above upon it, as the Lord commanded Moses. He took the testimony and put it into the ark, inserted the poles through the rings of the ark, and put the mercy seat on top of the ark. And he took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the stays on the ark, and put the mercy seat above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, hung up the veil of the covering, and partitioned off the ark of the testimony, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. He put the table in the tabernacle of meeting, on the north side of the tabernacle, outside the veil. And he put the table in the tent of the congregation, upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. And he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He put the lampstand in the tabernacle of meeting, across from the table, on the south side of the tabernacle. And he put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation, over against the table, on the side of the tabernacle southward. And he lit the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he lighted the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. He put the gold altar in the tabernacle of meeting in front of the veil. And he put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil. And he burned sweet incense on it, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he burnt sweet incense thereon, as the Lord commanded Moses. He hung up the screen at the door of the tabernacle. And he set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. And he put the altar of burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of meeting, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the grain offering, as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meat offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. He set the laver between the tabernacle of meeting and the altar, and put water there for washing. And he set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there, to wash withal. And Moses, Aaron, and his sons would wash their hands and their feet with water from it. And Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat. Whenever they went into the tabernacle of meeting, and when they came near the altar, they washed, as the Lord had commanded Moses. When they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed, as the Lord commanded Moses. And he raised up the court all around the tabernacle and the altar, and hung up the screen of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. And he reared up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. Then the cloud covered the tabernacle of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter the tabernacle of meeting, because the cloud rested above it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Whenever the cloud was taken up from above the tabernacle, the children of Israel would go onward in all their journeys. And when the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they did not journey till the day that it was taken up. But if the cloud were not taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was above the tabernacle by day, and fire was over it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel, throughout all their journeys. John 11. Now a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. Now a certain man was sick, named Lazarus, of Bethany, the town of Mary and her sister Martha. It was that Mary who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. It was that Mary which anointed the Lord with ointment, and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. Therefore his sisters sent unto him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom thou lovest is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. When Jesus heard that, he said, This sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God might be glorified thereby. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. Now Jesus loved Martha, and her sister, and Lazarus. So, when he heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. When he had heard therefore that he was sick, he abode 2 days still in the same place where he was. Then after this he said to the disciples, Let us go to Judea again. Then after that saith he to his disciples, Let us go into Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews sought to stone you, and are you going there again? His disciples say unto him, Master, the Jews of late sought to stone thee, and goest thou thither again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. But if one walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. But if a man walk in the night, he stumbleth, because there is no light in him. These things he said, and after that he said to them, Our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may wake him up. These things said he, and after that he saith unto them, Our friend Lazarus sleepeth, but I go, that I may awake him out of sleep. Then his disciples said, Lord, if he sleeps he will get well. Then said his disciples, Lord, if he sleep, he shall do well. However, Jesus spoke of his death, but they thought that he was speaking about taking rest and sleep. Howbeit Jesus spake of his death, but they thought that he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. Then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead. Then said Jesus unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, that you may believe. Nevertheless let us go to him. And I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent ye may believe, nevertheless let us go unto him. Then Thomas, who is called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let us also go, that we may die with him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, Let us also go, that we may die with him. So when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. Then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles away. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. And many of the Jews had joined the women around Martha and Mary, to comfort them concerning their brother. And many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary, to comfort them concerning their brother. Now Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary was sitting in the house. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat still in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. But I know, that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise again. Jesus saith unto her, Thy brother shall rise again. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection, and the life, he that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die. Believest thou this? She said to him, Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. She saith unto him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary her sister, saying, The teacher has come and is calling for you. And when she had so said, she went her way, and called Mary her sister secretly, saying, The Master is come, and calleth for thee. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came to him. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly, and came unto him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Martha met him. Now Jesus was not yet come into the town, but was in that place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house, and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, followed her, saying, She is going to the tomb to weep there. The Jews then which were with her in the house, and comforted her, when they saw Mary, that she rose up hastily and went out, followed her, saying, She goeth unto the grave to weep there. Then, when Mary came where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was, and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. Therefore, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. When Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping which came with her, he groaned in the spirit, and was troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. And said, Where have ye laid him? They said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, See how he loved him. Then said the Jews, Behold how he loved him. And some of them said, Could not this man, who opened the eyes of the blind, also have kept this man from dying? And some of them said, Could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should not have died? Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus therefore again groaning in himself cometh to the grave. It was a cave, and a stone lay upon it. Jesus said, Take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days. Jesus said, Take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead 4 days. Jesus said to her, Did I not say to you that if you would believe you would see the glory of God? Jesus saith unto her, Said I not unto thee, that, if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldest see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Jesus lifted up his eyes, and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. And I know that you always hear me, but because of the people who are standing by I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. And I knew that thou hearest me always, but because of the people which stand by I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. Now when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died came out bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, Loose him, and let him go. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was bound about with a napkin. Jesus saith unto them, Loose him, and let him go. Then many of the Jews who had come to Mary, and had seen the things Jesus did, believed in him. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary, and had seen the things which Jesus did, believed on him. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them the things Jesus did. But some of them went their ways to the Pharisees, and told them what things Jesus had done. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered a council and said, What shall we do? For this man works many signs. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council, and said, What do we? For this man doeth many miracles. If we let him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him, and the Romans shall come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, Caiaphas, being high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all." And one of them, named Caiaphas, being the high priest that same year, said unto them, "Ye know nothing at all. Nor do you consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and not that the whole nation should perish. Nor consider that it is expedient for us, that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation perish not." Now this he did not say on his own authority, but being high priest that year he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation. And this spake he not of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus should die for that nation. And not for that nation only, but also that he would gather together in one the children of God who were scattered abroad. And not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of God that were scattered abroad. Then, from that day on, they plotted to put him to death. Then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death. Therefore Jesus no longer walked openly among the Jews, but went from there into the country near the wilderness, to a city called Ephraim, and there remained with his disciples. Jesus therefore walked no more openly among the Jews, but went thence unto a country near to the wilderness, into a city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. And the Passover of the Jews was near, and many went from the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover, to purify themselves. And the Jews' Passover was nigh at hand, and many went out of the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover, to purify themselves. Then they sought Jesus, and spoke among themselves as they stood in the temple, "What do you think that he will not come to the feast?" Then sought they for Jesus, and spake among themselves, as they stood in the temple, "What think ye, that he will not come to the feast?" Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a command, that if anyone knew where he was, he should report it, that they might seize him. Now both the chief priests and the Pharisees had given a commandment, that, if any man knew where he were, he should shew it, that they might take him. John 12. Then, 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, where Lazarus was who had been dead, whom he had raised from the dead. Then Jesus 6 days before the Passover came to Bethany, where Lazarus was which had been dead, whom he raised from the dead. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of those who sat at the table with him. There they made him a supper, and Martha served, but Lazarus was one of them that sat at the table with him. Then Mary took a pound of very costly oil of spikenard, anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the oil. Then took Mary a pound of ointment of spikenard, very costly, and anointed the feet of Jesus, and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the odor of the ointment. But one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, who would betray him, said. Then saith one of his disciples, Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, which should betray him, "Why was this fragrant oil not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor? Why was not this ointment sold for 300 pence, and given to the poor?" This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and had the money box, and he used to take what was put in it. This he said, not that he cared for the poor, but because he was a thief, and had the bag, and bare what was put therein. But Jesus said, Let her alone, she has kept this for the day of my burial. Then said Jesus, Let her alone, against the day of my burying hath she kept this. For the poor you have with you always, but me you do not have always. For the poor always ye have with you, but me ye have not always. Now a great many of the Jews knew that he was there, and they came, not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might also see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might see Lazarus also, whom he had raised from the dead. But the chief priests plotted to put Lazarus to death also. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death, because on account of him many of the Jews went away and believed in Jesus. Because that by reason of him many of the Jews went away, and believed on Jesus. The next day a great multitude that had come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem. On the next day much people that were come to the feast, when they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, took branches of palm trees and went out to meet him, and cried out, Hosanna! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. The king of Israel took branches of palm trees, and went forth to meet him, and cried, Hosanna, blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. Then Jesus, when he had found a young donkey, sat on it, as it is written. And Jesus, when he had found a young ass, sat thereon, as it is written. Fear not, daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt. Fear not, daughter of Shaun, behold, thy king cometh, sitting on an ass's colt. His disciples did not understand these things at first, but when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered that these things were written about him and that they had done these things to him. These things understood not his disciples at the first, but when Jesus was glorified, then remembered they that these things were written of him, and that they had done these things unto him. Therefore the people, who were with him when he called Lazarus out of his tomb and raised him from the dead, bore witness. The people therefore that was with him when he called Lazarus out of his grave, and raised him from the dead, bear record. For this reason the people also met him, because they heard that he had done this sign. For this cause the people also met him, for that they heard that he had done this miracle. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, You see that you are accomplishing nothing. Look, the world has gone after him. The Pharisees therefore said among themselves, Perceive ye how ye prevail nothing? Behold, the world is gone after him. Now there were certain Greeks among those who came up to worship at the feast. And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. Then they came to Philip, who was from Bethsaida of Galilee, and asked him, saying, Sir, we wish to see Jesus. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus. Philip came and told Andrew, and in turn Andrew and Philip told Jesus. Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus. But Jesus answered them, saying, The hour has come that the Son of Man should be glorified. And Jesus answered them, saying, The hour is come, that the Son of Man should be glorified. Most assuredly, I say to you, unless a grain of wheat falls into the ground and dies, it remains alone, but if it dies, it produces much grain. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone, but if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He who loves his life will lose it, and he who hates his life in this world will keep it for eternal life. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal. If anyone serves me, let him follow me, and where I am, there my servant will be also. If anyone serves me, him my Father will honor. If any man serve me, let him follow me, and where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. Now my soul is troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? But for this purpose I came to this hour. Now is my soul troubled, and what shall I say? Father, save me from this hour, but for this cause came I unto this hour. Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven, saying, I have both glorified it and will glorify it again. Father, glorify thy name. Then came there a voice from heaven, saying, I have both glorified it, and will glorify it again. Therefore the people who stood by and heard it said that it had thundered. Others said, An angel has spoken to him. The people therefore, that stood by, and heard it, said that it thundered. Others said, An angel spake to him. Jesus answered and said, This voice did not come because of me, but for your sake. Jesus answered and said, This voice came not because of me, but for your sakes. Now is the judgment of this world, now the ruler of this world will be cast out. Now is the judgment of this world, now shall the prince of this world be cast out. And I, if I am lifted up from the earth, will draw all peoples to myself. And I, if I be lifted up from the earth, will draw all men unto me. This he said, signifying by what death he would die. This he said, signifying what death he should die. The people answered him, We have heard from the law that the Christ remains forever, and how can you say, The Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? The people answered him, We have heard out of the law that Christ abideth forever, and how sayest thou, The Son of Man must be lifted up? Who is this Son of Man? Then Jesus said to them, "A little while longer the light is with you. Walk while you have the light, lest darkness overtake you. He who walks in darkness does not know where he is going." Then Jesus said unto them, "Yet a little while is the light with you. Walk while ye have the light, lest darkness come upon you, for he that walketh in darkness knoweth not whither he goeth. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may become sons of light." These things Jesus spoke, and departed, and was hidden from them. While ye have light, believe in the light, that ye may be the children of light. These things spake Jesus, and departed, and did hide himself from them. But although he had done so many signs before them, they did not believe in him. But though he had done so many miracles before them, yet they believed not on him. That the word of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spoke, "Lord, who has believed our report? And to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed?" That the saying of Isaiah the prophet might be fulfilled, which he spake, "Lord, who hath believed our report? And to whom hath the arm of the Lord been revealed?" Therefore they could not believe, because Isaiah said again. Therefore they could not believe, because that Isaiah said again. He has blinded their eyes and hardened their hearts, lest they should see with their eyes, lest they should understand with their hearts and turn, so that I should heal them. He hath blinded their eyes, and hardened their heart, that they should not see with their eyes, nor understand with their heart, and be converted, and I should heal them. These things Isaiah said when he saw his glory and spoke of him. These things said Isaiah, when he saw his glory, and spake of him. Nevertheless even among the rulers many believed in him, but because of the Pharisees they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue. Nevertheless among the chief rulers also many believed on him, but because of the Pharisees they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue. For they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. For they loved the praise of men more than the praise of God. Then Jesus cried out and said, "He who believes in me, believes not in me but in him who sent me." Jesus cried and said, "He that believeth on me, believeth not on me, but on him that sent me. And he who sees me sees him who sent me. And he that seeth me seeth him that sent me. I have come as a light into the world, that whoever believes in me should not abide in darkness. I am come a light into the world, that whosoever believeth on me should not abide in darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not believe, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world but to save the world. And if any man hear my words, and believe not, I judge him not, for I came not to judge the world, but to save the world. He who rejects me, and does not receive my words, has that which judges him. The word that I have spoken will judge him in the last day. He that rejecteth me, and receiveth not my words, hath one that judgeth him. The word that I have spoken, the same shall judge him in the last day. For I have not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command, what I should say and what I should speak. For I have not spoken of myself, but the Father which sent me, he gave me a commandment, what I should say, and what I should speak. And I know that his command is everlasting life. Therefore, whatever I speak, just as the Father has told me, so I speak. And I know that his commandment is life everlasting. Whatsoever I speak therefore, even as the Father said unto me, so I speak. Psalms 45. My heart is overflowing with a good theme, I recite my composition concerning the King, my tongue is the pen of a ready writer. To the chief musician upon Shoshanim, for the sons of Korah, Maskil, a song of loves. My heart is inditing a good matter, I speak of the things which I have made touching the King, my tongue is the pen of a ready writer. You are fairer than the sons of men, grace is poured upon your lips, therefore God has blessed you forever. Thou art fairer than the children of men, grace is poured into thy lips, therefore God hath blessed thee forever. Gird your sword upon your thigh, O mighty one, with your glory and your majesty. Gird thy sword upon thy thigh, O most mighty, with thy glory and thy majesty. And in your majesty ride prosperously because of truth, humility, and righteousness, and your right hand shall teach you awesome things. And in thy majesty ride prosperously because of truth and meekness and righteousness, and thy right hand shall teach thee terrible things. Your arrows are sharp in the heart of the King's enemies, the peoples fall under you. Thine arrows are sharp in the heart of the King's enemies, whereby the people fall under thee. Your throne, O God, is forever and ever, a scepter of righteousness is the scepter of your kingdom. Thy throne, O God, is forever and ever, the scepter of thy kingdom is a right scepter. You love righteousness and hate wickedness, therefore God, your God, has anointed you with the oil of gladness more than your companions. Thou lovest righteousness, and hatest wickedness, therefore God, thy God, hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows. All your garments are scented with myrrh and aloes and cassia, out of the ivory palaces, by which they have made you glad. All thy garments smell of myrrh, and aloes, and cassia, out of the ivory palaces, whereby they have made thee glad. King's daughters are among your honorable women, at your right hand stands the queen in gold from Ophir. King's daughters were among thy honorable women, upon thy right hand did stand the queen in gold of Ophir. Listen, O daughter, consider and incline your ear, forget your own people also, and your father's house. Hearken, O daughter, and consider, and incline thine ear, forget also thine own people, and thy father's house. So the king will greatly desire your beauty, because he is your Lord, worship him. So shall the king greatly desire thy beauty, for he is thy Lord, and worship thou him. And the daughter of Tyre will come with a gift, the rich among the people will seek your favor. And the daughter of Tyre shall be there with a gift, even the rich among the people shall entreat thy favor. The royal daughter is all glorious within the palace, her clothing is woven with gold. The king's daughter is all glorious within, her clothing is of wrought gold. She shall be brought to the king in robes of many colors, the virgins, her companions who follow her, shall be brought to you. She shall be brought unto the king in raiment of needlework, the virgins her companions that follow her shall be brought unto thee. With gladness and rejoicing they shall be brought, they shall enter the king's palace. With gladness and rejoicing shall they be brought, they shall enter into the king's palace. Instead of your fathers shall be your sons, whom you shall make princes in all the earth. Instead of thy fathers shall be thy children, whom thou mayest make princes in all the earth. I will make your name to be remembered in all generations, therefore the people shall praise you forever and ever. I will make thy name to be remembered in all generations, therefore shall the people praise thee forever and ever.